Had you ever had a document that you wanted to make changes to and keep track of those changes and previous changes and also keep the original content of the document? Well, with Microsoft Word's versions, you can actually, believe it or not, keep track of all that into one document. The old school way of doing things was to, for example, take this short story document. If there were any changes being made to it, is to open it up, make changes, save it, and call it Short Story 2, make more changes, call it Short Story 3, and so on. So you could have many short story documents throughout here. In fact, double click and open it up. Come in here, have me or somebody make changes to it, and then when you're finished, click Save As, because we don't want to save over the original copy. We want to save it as and call it Short Story number 2, and then click Save. So there on my desktop I've got Short Story number 2 and Short Story the original document. Now, can you just imagine sending Short Story number 2 on to another coworker and them making changes and saving it as Short Story number 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on as all the coworkers pass it around. So when you get all these emails back, you could have like, gosh, up to 20, 30, 40 all short story documents that you have to compare and contrast to find out which changes you like the best. Well, like I said, with versions 2007, you can just have one document to deal with and be able to have everybody make changes to there, and it will keep track of all those different, quote, versions within that document. Now, having said that, there's a string attached to it. Unlike the previous software, Microsoft Word 2003, Word XP, and Word 2000, Word 2007 cannot do versions by itself. It needs the help of another software. It's interesting, because if you used Word 2003 and XP and the older ones before, you could just do it within the document. Well, Microsoft 2007 says no. You actually have to have a website and have SharePoint software installed on that website, and that website's going to keep track of all the different versions for you within that one document, but ironically off of that website. So I guess it's back to old school then. If you don't have a website, or your company doesn't have one with SharePoint Server software installed, and that's from Microsoft, then you cannot use the versions attribute at all in Word 2007. So that means saving your document as document number 2 or short story number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There's probably only 2 reasons why you're watching this video then. Is one, because you want to certify in Microsoft Word, in which case you'll need to know about versions, or you actually have a website that has SharePoint Server installed and your company or boss would like you to learn how to take a document like this, put it on the website so everybody else can check out the document one at a time, of course, make changes to it and upload it. And so you can all compare and contrast those changes. In fact, if let's say you had 12 versions on that website, you can actually take those versions, like let's say version 2 and version 11, and compare those and find the difference between the two. You can actually merge them as well, and I'll show you that a little bit later on. Of course, one more point is that if you do want to use the SharePoint Server software and you don't have a website or anything like that, you can do a Google search for SharePoint hosting, and be able to find another company, a third-party company there that has that software on a server that they'll let you use for, a fee about $40, $50 a month, whatever they're charging. And that way you can upload it to their server, their site, and make sure it's secure, and then let anybody else who has internet connection come up and share your documents and make changes, and you can keep track of those different versions, as it were, and collaborate that way, again through a third-party company. But to get started, first of all, I'm going to delete this second document here. And all you need before you get started actually is the website address, or the URL. Get that from your IT person, as well as your username and password that your IT person will have to set you up on as well, and of course the document. The steps are really easy. It's just basically understanding how it ties it all together and what's going on. Like, for example, here's the first step. Go ahead and double click on your document and open it up. And the steps are really simple. Simply go up and click on the Office logo button here, down to Publish, and click on Create Document Workspace. Now, before we click on it, just notice the text here. Create a new site for the document and keep the local copy synchronized. So this copy we have here that's on our desktop, it's not going to be the original version or the original document. It's just going to be a local copy. It's going to synchronize. So let's say 12 versions later, you want to know what's going on. Because it's synchronized, there's an update button I'll show you that you click on, and it will bring in the most recent changes of the latest version. So I recommend you don't use this as your original at all. And what it means by creating a new site, it's not creating a whole new website. It's actually, because you got the website address from your IT person, it's going to create, and it should probably more correctly say, create a new sub-site. because you're creating a folder within that website or a subsite for you to actually store your short story document in, as I have up at the top here. So anyways, coming back here, click on it. Does nothing more than open up your document management pane, and it's really simple. Again, like I say, the steps. It's the concept that takes a little bit long. First thing it asks you is the document workspace name. The document workspace name, you need a workspace or a folder to actually put this document in. So we're going to name this folder Short Story, which by default is the name of the document. That's fine. But how about if I just call it Short Stories? Name it whatever you'd like. That's going to be the name of the folder you're storing this in, or the subsite. Now we need to define where this website is at. And for you, it's going to be, because this will be probably the first time, it's going to say type new URL. Well, go ahead and click in there. Get it from your IT person and start typing. And that's basically it. You just go ahead and click create, and just keep in mind again what it's going to do here is it's going to take this workspace name, create a folder, a subsite, and dump this document up at the top into it to this main website here. Okay. Now I'm going to delete this because once you do it and you come back and you want to do some more, it'll actually have the name here. And if you hover over the name, you can see my URL address is already there. And then I can click create. Now, if this is your first time and you click create, more than likely you're going to get a big pop-up warning. Internet Explorer doesn't trust this site. You got to make it a trusted site if you haven't done so already. So to make it a trusted site so you can get past this firewall if you come across it, is to open up Internet Explorer here. Actually go to the website that the IT person gave to you. And you can see as I start typing it in, it puts it out for me, and I'll just select it. Type in your username and password that the IT person gave to you for this website, and it says here, warning, this server is requesting that your username and password be sent in an insecure manner. And how can you tell if it's secure or insecure? Well, look at your address, website address. You see where it says HTTP? If it doesn't have an S at the end for secure, it's not secure. So that's why it's giving me a warning. So hopefully your IT person or your business, your company actually has a secure way of connecting to the SharePoint website there. And then just go ahead and click OK. And this is what the SharePoint software looks like. Basically really simplistic. Over to the left hand side you have your navigation pane. Click on any links here and it opens up over to the right. And we'll look at this later. But for right now we just want to say, now that we're at the website, you can see up at the top, I want to make this a secure website. So Internet Explorer doesn't prevent me from actually loading documents to here or creating a document workspace. To do so, click on the Tools button and go down to Internet Options. Click on the Security tab, and if you don't have the Trusted Site selected, click on the Trusted Site here, and once you click on it, it gives you the button. Click on the Sites button, and then by default it should add the site up above, down below here, unless you, of course, like me, you already have it added. So just click on the Add button. Now if it's not a secure site and you click Add, it may prevent you, because by default this box will be checked saying, look, only add secure sites to my trusted sites. Well, I'm taking a chance here. And so I'd uncheck that and click Add, and it will add insecure sites, or sites that don't have the letter S after the P there. Once you add it, just go ahead and click Close, click OK, and we'll close out of the website. We'll come back here, but basically that's it, and all you have to do is go ahead and click Create. There's the username and password, click OK. And then just basically, this may take a few moments, so be patient. Usually when Word is talking to the SharePoint server, the software is going to freak out. At times up at the top it may say that Word is not responding. Don't worry, and there it is, not responding. It's chatting back and forth, and it's taken quite some time to do this. So it'll ask you to log in again. Go ahead and click OK. And you'll know it's done, of course, with all the flashing that goes on. And then your document management pane is going to change, and you can see you have other things you can learn about if you'd like, but just for the sake of this one lesson here, we're going to focus on Microsoft Word documents, because with SharePoint Server you can also create, you can see tasks for other people who have access to the SharePoint server. And like I said before, remember I said I was going to show you the Get Updates button. There it is. So now actually it's sitting on that website, the short story document. Anybody has access to it right now. So without further delay, really you want to hurry and get to that website and set up some defaults, because the whole point of doing this is called to create versions, and right now there's no versions tied to it, so people can check it in, check it out, and no versions will be created. So we got to hurry once we upload it, get to that website and make the changes. So to quickly get to that website before Bob or our other coworkers hurry and log in and start sneaking around in there, you can either, again, open up Internet Explorer and type in that same address, or better yet, since this is now tied to the document on the website or the SharePoint server software, just come over here and hover over Open Site in Browser, and you can see there's your address right there. Just click on it. Click OK. There it is. It's sitting right there, waiting for anybody to open it up, make changes. But I gotta hurry and set the versioning process up off the website here before anybody opens it, so I can actually have versions when people come in and make changes to it, so I can keep track of all the changes that are being made, either by me, if I'm the only one, and or by other users as well. Now, before we do that, a quick overall view of this. Remember how I said that Short Stories is going to be a sub-site to your main website? Well, there's your links. It's very subtle in the upper left-hand corner, isn't it? So if I click on the Home tab, it's going to just take me to the home of the sub-site Short Stories. See, I'm still here. But if I go to the main site, then I can get to the sub-sites by clicking on the main site's link, and you see all the sub-sites that I have for all these different documents. There could be many documents within each of these sub-sites, but the one that we're working on is the Short Stories, so I can click on that folder link, and there it is. Okay, so like I said, without further delay, we want to hurry and set up the versioning process tied to any documents within our Short Stories folder, and this is the first one. You could add more documents, but we won't cover it here. So what we want to do is click on this link. It doesn't look like a link until you actually hover over it, then it's underlined. So go ahead and click on the Shared Documents link, and these are going to be the rules to all the documents that are sitting in this subfolder called Short Stories. To set it, we want to click on the Settings down to Document Library Settings, and there's our versioning settings. Click on that, and it's really simple over here. Like I said, the steps are really simple, just basically understanding what's happening here. The only two things I'm going to change in here, whether or not to create a version each time somebody edits a file in the document library. Yes, I do. And the versions I want to create, I want to sequentially be 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do major and minor, which means that for draft versions, you could have 1.0, 1.1, 1.2. In any case, I just want the major. Scroll down to the bottom, and it's going to ask me, do you want to require documents to be checked out before they can be edited? Most definitely, yes. That way only one person at a time can check out the document, make changes. Anybody else can view a checked out document, but they can't make any changes until they actually themselves check it out. Of course, after it's checked back in by somebody else. That's it. Go ahead and click OK. And now you're ready to go. The next step is, after we set up our versioning settings, is also to be the first one. Click on the home, and this will be the home for our sub-site here, is to be the first one to check this out. Don't make any changes to it. Check it back in and call this the original version. The first version is going to be our original. Then every version after can be, any other changes that anybody makes. So you're really kind of in a time crunch here to get this before anybody else snags it. So there's two ways to check out a document, the short story here. You can either hover over it and click on it, or you can hover over the drop-down arrow and check it out. First of all, let's click on the link here. It's going to pull up the Word document here, but of course I still have my other short story document open. I can just go ahead and click Save and close it. Now remember, this isn't the original. This is where I can get the updates, and this is off of my desktop, okay? So I close out of that. But like I said, when I click on this link, this document's going to pop up, and it's going to say, you can't modify this unless you check it out. Then I can check it out here, okay? But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to close out, go back to the website here. I'm going to hover over it, and instead of the link, I'm going to click on its drop-down arrow and click Checkout. Click OK. That's it. Now you can ask, well, where in the heck is the document now? Well, when you check it out, it actually stores it in the Documents folder on your computer, meaning that if you have Windows Vista, it's going to be called Documents folder. If you have Windows XP, it's going to be called My Documents. And you can see right here, it's got that little green box with the white arrow. It says it's checked out and the name of the person who checked it out, which is me. So there's one of two ways you can get to the Documents folder, at least in Windows Vista. You'll have to figure that out if you're using Windows XP. But basically it's almost the same. I'm going to minimize this window here. Double-click on the computer. Double-click on the C drive. Double-click on the users. And you can have more than one user log into a computer. Just pick out the one that you logged into. The login is the public, the Dreamforce, Kershaw. Well, this is training, so I'll double-click on the training. Double-click on Documents. SharePoint, double-click on that, and there's the short story sitting there for me to double-click and open up. course, I can close out and show you the second way, which I find is easier. Right-click on the Windows Vista logo button, go to Explore, scroll down just a little bit, and that's kind of cool because Windows will shift over for you to select it, and then click on the Documents. Double-click on SharePoints, and there's your short story. Double-click and open it up. Click OK to connect, and we just checked out our first document. Now, like I said, we don't want to make any changes here when we check it out. We want to be the first one to check it out, so all we do is check it out, make no changes, because we want to check it in to freeze it at that time to say this is our first version, and it's going to be the original, no change. So, to check it back in, click on the Office logo while you're in Word here, or in your document, go to Server, and click on Check In. It's going to ask you what comments do you have for this version. Call it the original, and click OK. Anytime you're saving, uploading things, it's going to freak out just a little bit, not responding, but give it a moment or two. It'll come around and everything will be okay. You'll know when it's done is because up at the top it'll say, give you the checkout option, meaning that it's checked in, and the only way you can modify it is by checking it out again. In any case, while we have it up, there's two ways to check how many versions are out there. One of the ways is while you still have this up, you can click on the Office logo button, go down to Server, and click on View Version History to read, delete, restore previous versions of the document. And you can see I've got, well, I don't have version 1, I just have 2 and 3. But what's interesting, and I don't know if this is a bug with SharePoint, but I don't have version 1, but I do have version 2 and 3, and usually whatever current version you have is going to be a ghost of it. So because this is the only version, and the most, well, I would say the most recent, but the only version, I'm going to have 2 types here. And you can see there's the original, and you can click on that if there were more comments to it and read more about it. But the original is basically the same as this version. It's just ghosting, giving us 2. Close out. And like I said, the other way was to check on how many versions you have. So close out of here. And you'll notice that when I double click to open up the short story document, when I checked it out it was here. When I checked it in it disappears. So that's one way of knowing if you actually checked it in or checked it out. I'm going to go back to the web page here. Because the web page was already open, it still looks like it's checked out. Well, you can click on the refresh button or hit F5, click on it. It'll refresh it and it should remove that, so it looks like now it's checked in here. Hover, click on the drop down arrow, and this is another place where you can check on the version history. And there you go. They're both the same here. It's just ghosting here, but like I say, this one's the original. I'm going to click the backlink here, and what I want to do is I want to just take it to the next level. I want to check this out again, make some changes, and after I make changes to show you what it looks like adding another version to it, and then I want to show you how to compare the 2 versions where you can see the changes between the 2, what changes were made, and also if you want, be able to combine the versions if you do like the changes, you want those changes applied into a new document. Okay, now let's pretend that we're going to make another change to it, or actually do it, or we can pretend somebody else is going to make a change to it, but this is what they would do. They'd come up in here and click on it and check it out again. Same process. When the screen flashes, you know you have it checked out, and I can just click on, I left my folder open here so I don't have to, right click on the Office logo and explore again for the SharePoint folder, and then just double click on it to open it up, log in again. And let's go ahead and make some changes. It says there is no other way. Let's say there is. Then we can say maybe we don't like streaks. We want, just whatever changes you want to make, or you can actually do review. And let's add a comment here, something. In any case, when we're done with this, go ahead and be sure to click Save. And then we want to check it back in. So Office logo, Server, check in, say New Title, and then click OK. Again, we'll give it a second or two while it flinches back and forth and it uploads it. But like I said, the steps are really simple to do. It's just after you understand the full concept, you can be able to whiz through these steps. And there it disappeared, so it looks like it's checked back in because now we have the checkout and we can close out of that. And then of course, since we left this open, we can just click on the page and hit F5 to refresh the page. And now it's checked back in. So we can click on the drop down arrow and let's take a look at the version history. And you know what's interesting here, and like I said, is that because this is the latest change here, it's ghosting. It's the same time, but we've got the comment here. What happened to the other comment? Like I say, don't know if it's a bug here with the system, or you'll actually have this comment down below where it says original. Now I'm speeding up some steps. I just checked it out by clicking on the drop down to check out this because I want to check it out to be able to compare versions now. And the only way to compare them is, well, first to check it out here. And I just checked it out, and there it is. Double click, open it up. Click OK. And I want to take this version here, the latest version, compare it with the original, and see if I like the changes or not. You can see some of the changes I can't tell unless it's a big comment like this staring out at me. But what I want to do is click on the Review tab, and there's a training video on how to compare documents and combine them. Basically, there's no different what we're doing now, so we click on it, except that we can tie it to versions now. So I can either do the last version or a specific version, and you can see it's ghosting pretty bad because I have it opened and it's the same time, so I've got 3 versions here. What I want to do is the original version here that's not at the same time frame is going to be the original. Select it, and I'm comparing what you see behind you, the latest 6.0, with the first version here. Go and click compare. And then give it a moment or two while it works through it. And there we go. When it's done, you can see up at the top it's called Document 1, and down below you can see I have my short story, and this is the read-only one, which is the first version, and then of course my latest version. And it took those two and compared them into a brand new document here. You can see what was added, 8N, and what was deleted with the line through it, NO. Now if I like this, I can go ahead and save it. You can't save it as a new version. Anything that you save is going to be outside it. It has nothing to do with versions. It's going to be a separate document. So the SharePoint server's only purpose is to compare changes, not to merge them and keep it within the SharePoint. That is on your own by clicking the Save As button. Now if you want to restore the current version back to the original, you could do this. You could click on the View tab and click View Side by Side, and you see the changes in this one. Let's go with the recent version here, short story, and click OK. And then you can click and scroll up and down and see the changes that were made from the current version to the original, and being able to say, well, there is no other way. And then of course when you're finished you can go ahead and click Save, and that will update your current version. And then when we're finished we can go Office, Server, Check In, say something like restored to original, and click OK. Okay, now let's pretend that we're going to make another change to it, or actually do it, or we can pretend somebody else is going to make a change to it, but this is what they would do. They'd come up in here and click on it and check it out again. Same process. When the screen flashes, you know you have it checked out, and I can just click on, I left my folder open here so I don't have to right click on the Office logo and explore again for the SharePoint folder, and then just double click on it to open it up, log in again, and let's go ahead and make some changes. It says there is no other way. Let's say there is. Then we can say maybe we don't like streaks, we want just whatever changes you want to make, or you can actually do review, and let's add a comment here, something. In any case, when we're done with this, go ahead and be sure to click Save, and then we want to check it back in. So Office logo, Server, Check In, say New Title, and then click OK. Again, we'll give it a second or two while it flinches back and forth and it uploads it. But like I said, the steps are really simple to do. It's just after you understand the full concept, you can be able to whiz through these steps. And there it disappeared, so it looks like it's checked back in because now we have the checkout, and we can close out of that. And then of course, since we left this open, we can just click on the page and hit F5 to refresh the page. And now it's checked back in. So we can click on the drop-down arrow, and let's take a look at the version history. And you know what's interesting here, and like I said, is that because this is the latest change here, it's ghosting. It's the same time, but we've got the comment here. What happened to the other comment? Like I say, don't know if it's a bug here with the system, or you'll actually have this comment down below where it says original. Now I'm speeding up some steps. I just checked it out by clicking on the drop down to check out this because I want to check it out to be able to compare versions now. And the only way to compare them is, well, first to check it out here. And I just checked it out, and there it is. Double click, open it up. Click OK. And I want to take this version here, the latest version, compare it with the original, and see if I like the changes or not. You can see some of the changes I can't tell unless it's a big comment like this staring out at me. But what I want to do is click on the Review tab, and there's a training video on how to compare documents and combine them. Basically, there's no different what we're doing now, so we click on it, except that we can tie it to versions now. So I can either do the last version or a specific version. And you can see it's ghosting pretty bad because I have it opened and it's the same time, so I've got 3 versions here. What I want to do is the original version here that's not at the same time frame is going to be the first, the original. Select it, and I'm comparing what you see behind you, the latest 6.0, with the first version here. And click compare. And then give it a moment or two while it works through it. And there we go. When it's done, you can see up at the top it's called Document 1. And down below you can see I have my short story, and this is the read-only one, which is the first version, and then of course my latest version. And it took those two and compared them into a brand new document here. You can see what was added, AN, and what was deleted with the line through it, NO. Now if I like this, I can go ahead and save it. You can't save it as a new version. Anything that you save is going to be outside it. It has nothing to do with versions. It's going to be a separate document. So the SharePoint server's only purpose is to compare changes, not to merge them and keep it within the SharePoint. That is on your own by clicking the Save As button. Now if you want to restore the current version back to the original, you could do this. You could click on the View tab and click View Side by Side, and you see the changes in this one. Let's go with the recent version here, short story, and click OK. And then you can click and scroll up and down and see the changes that were made from the current version to the original, and being able to say, well, there is no other way. And then of course when you're finished you can go ahead and click Save, and that will update your current version. And then when we're finished we can go Office, Server, Check In, say something like Restored to Original, and click OK. Alright, so moving right along, the next thing I want to show you is how to combine your versions together into one document for reviewing purposes. When you weren't looking, I checked out the document because you already know how to check out the document, and it's sitting down here below. Okay. Once you have it checked out, then go ahead and start opening up other versions or previous versions where you can go ahead and combine them. To do so, I'm going to click on the Office logo button, go down to Server, and click on View Version History. And then I'm going to select previous versions, like maybe version 7 I'll open. And then once it opens, you can see up at the top it's version 7. And let's open up another version, Server to View Version. And let's do the original here. Let's go ahead and open that as well. And see what you're doing is you're going to keep opening up all the versions that you want to combine. So after you open, like you can open up 5, 10, or however many you want to start combining them now. If you watch the training video on how to combine documents, it's basically the same thing. Click on the Review tab, click on Compare, go down to Combine. For your original document, go ahead and scroll down through here. And remember the name of our document is Short Story. Well, I've opened up some versions here. This gives me more an idea of which one I'm combining into versus all these here. I mean, goodness, how many short stories do I have and which one's the original, which one's version 3? This is all based on your computer. This is also based on it, but because I downloaded the versions, it actually shows me what version it is, so it makes it so much easier. Let's make the original version 2 and the revised version 7. And then just go ahead and click OK. So it's a lot like comparing, isn't it? I mean, what it did is down at the bottom you can click on the short stories. There's version 2, and there's version 7, and it combined into document 1. You want to merge the first 2 versions, combine them, and then from document 1, go back to compare to combine again, and then click on the drop down arrow and say your original is document 1 because that's what's up at the top, and you want revised version Well, if I had version 3 or 4, I would go ahead and select those and then click OK and combine those, and it would create a new document. And you get document 2. So you see what I'm saying? The pattern is basically open up all your versions, 12 versions, combine 1 and 2, you get document 1, and then you take document 1, you combine it to 3, and you get document 3 or 4, and then you combine the next version into each document till all of them are combined into one, if you need to combine all of them. 2 final things is that because this is a local document, when you click Save, it's going to ask where do you want to save it on your desktop or on your computer. It's got nothing to do with uploading it back into as a new version. Because remember, I'm going to close out of there and close out of all these results here. And this is the read-only. Remember that this is what we checked out. When we combine all the versions or compare them into new documents, that's not what we checked out. That's not what happens when we click on, if you click on any of those ones that have been combined, you won't get the check-in, only the one that you checked out. So if you make changes to this, that's the only thing that's going to be checked back in again. So again, you can save it and it'll just be saved to your desktop. If you need to make changes, do it within the actual version that you checked out and then go ahead and check it back in. And then we'll close out of this. Go ahead and close out of the website. And remember that the original document that was on our desktop before we started uploading it to the SharePoint server software on the internet, that when you open this up, it's going to prompt you to get the updates. So you can go ahead and click Get the Updates, and the latest version will actually update the document here. Of course, you can click on Don't Get Updates, and it just remains as originally before we uploaded this onto the website and started creating those other versions here. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.